All right, hello everyone. Jeff Scott once again, formerly of Rankin Technical College. And what I have been doing is creating a series of videos, and you can see my YouTube channel URL there. You can either type in the URL or go out to YouTube, and you should be able to put in JPS, Jeff Teaches Programming, and find my playlist because I'm starting with Python. I've got 4 videos that I've done thus far, and what I've decided to do is not spend a lot of time, but spend a little bit of time going over this GitHub Copilot in VS Code. Now notice GitHub Copilot is basically an AI helper, for lack of better words. Now if I go back out to here, which is what I've been working on, and I type in here GitHub, notice what comes up first. GitHub Copilot. There it is, your AI pair programmer. So I'm going to click install on that. It's installing. All right, and it's up there. Now, right now I've got this. There's nothing wrong with this. I can leave that there. Let's come in here and do a couple of other things. All right. Now I've come in there and I put in def add 2 numbers because what I want to do is basically come up with a routine to add 2 numbers. Now, why am I showing you that? Well, notice what you can do here. You can get inline code suggestions while you're writing and iterating on code. You can start a chat to basically get some information, some help, get help fixing errors, ask questions, and use chat features. Now, I did watch this. It's about, I think it's 4 minutes and 44 seconds. And what they do in there is the guy that you see right here gives demos of all the stuff that's in the rest of this article. All right, so to use it, you have to have the GitHub Copilot extension. I just showed you where that was, and I just installed it, so you see how easy that is. It says follow these steps to set up GitHub Copilot. Well, you wouldn't have to do that. There are tutorials online, as you can see. There is a quick start, and there's a chat tutorial. I'm not going to go over any of those. All right. They talk about where this can be helpful. All right. And then they go through each one of these 8 or so points. Code completions in the editor, answering coding questions, code refactoring and improvements, fixing issues, jump-starting your project, generating unit test cases, generating code documentation, and improving productivity. So the first one that they have right here is they have this. It says it suggests code as you type. All right. Now, in this example, they're using a JavaScript example here, test.js. And you come in and you type in this. All right. You put in that and boom, it gives you all this. And if you want that, I believe it was, you just hit the tab key and it'll give you all that code. All right, this is interesting. This is actually one of the problems that I had my students do. All right, was to calculate the number of days between 2 different dates. It can answer coding questions for you. So as it says, provides guidance and support for common coding tasks and challenges. You can ask about things without requiring, without having to leave there and go out someplace else. All right. It improves code understanding by explaining selected code. All right. So if you have this put in for you, whether you key it in or you get it put in for you, you can get an explanation down below what it's all about. Provide guidance that is specific to your code base. So in other words, into what you're currently working on. Code refactoring. This is kind of a neat one because it'll suggest to you, typically as an example, maybe you're writing a function that's gotten unbelievably large and it should be broken into multiple functions, something like that. Suggest potential improvements to selected code. All right, it says such as improved handling errors and edge cases. Fixing issues. This is where I think it'd be really nice. All right, if you've got an error, as it says, you can use the \fix command to suggest ways to fix it. Terminal code fixes as well when a command fails to run. It displays this sparkle, which is, well, I know I saw it. Well, let's see if we can find it. Well, I thought it was like a little, some kind of a little icon here, but it wasn't one of these. Well, let's just keep going. Jumpstart the project, as it says, generate a new VS Code workspace, so it can give you some starter code, in other words. Scaffold a new Jupyter notebook by using natural language. That'll be something we talk about later. Things like use cases or unit test cases. What they're talking about here is the ability to go through and, as you are creating a project, to both test the individual components and putting them together to test all the components together. Generating code documentation. There you go, right there. Productivity improvements. I don't want to sit and read this whole thing to you. All right, which is, I guess, what I've been doing. Now, this is what I'm going to do next. All right, I'm going to hopefully be able to use a little bit of this. Again, I would strongly suggest watching this 4-minute and 44-second video to get much more than I just gave you. But I believe I mentioned to you before that I've got a subscription where virtually every day I get articles from medium.com. It's $5 a month, or I believe you can pay $50 one-time payment for the entire year and get 2 months free, so to speak. And here it is. So, for instance, if I came through here and said something like how to learn Python programming. All right. The most efficient way to learn data analysis in 12 weeks. Thank you for listing out how to learn about Python programming, how to learn Python, etc. You can see there literally will be hundreds of these. All right. So I can keep going, get more, keep going, etc. Well, the reason I'm telling you about that is that someplace in here, there it is, there's an article that's called Every Python Keyword Explained. If I counted right in here, there's 38 keywords. I don't know if there's any distinction between the different colors they've used here. I really don't know. But they explain all 38 of the keywords. All right, and I've gone through it already, and I think they do a nice job of this. What I'd like to do next, and I'm going to do it tomorrow, all right, or tonight, we'll see. I'll maybe start it tonight and finish it tomorrow. I don't know. But I'd like to go over this article, and I'd like to write at least one program, ideally one program, that's going to deal with all this stuff. All right? So, I mean, just as an example, we've sort of looked at this already. Let me just grab this. And I started with this, so let's leave that. And I'm just going to paste that in. All right, don't worry. I'm going to fix this right now. All right. We get rid of all this. And I'm just going to return N1 plus N2. Okay. And then down below, we're going to call this. Now, we could do this, and we could call add two numbers, and we could pass in 23 and 12. No error, and it'll work. The problem is if we do this, it's returning it, but we're not getting the answer. We should be able to say print, put the whole thing into here. And now if I run this down at the bottom, I should get 35. All right, there's the 35. All right, I'm still getting my thing up here. So what I think I'll do is probably, I'm not positive yet, but probably come in and write something like a simple terminal-based calculator. All right, so in other words, I'll have this. So we'll have add two numbers. How about this? Def add two. And then we will subtract 2. Then we'll have multiply 2. And we'll have divide 2. All right, now this is by no means complete. All right, so let's change this to add 2. All right, let's just copy it. So we'll have add 2, multiply 2. Oops, that should have been subtract 2, but that's okay. And finally, divide 2. All right, so we've got all that. Let's take what we had up here with this printing roll of dice. What is it? It's and this print that we have right here. And let's comment those out. All right, so you can see what I did there very simplistically. And when we run this now, what are we getting? Well, 23 plus 12, 23 minus 12, 23 times 12, 23 divided by 12. Now, by no means is this a complete program. All right? By no means. But what we'll do is we'll come in tomorrow, and what I'd like to do is, since we've got this NumPy, why don't we generate 2 random numbers? And then add them, do a subtract, do a multiply, do a divide, kind of go on from there. All right, so again, the goal is to take this article that's here and literally go over every one of these keywords. Now, hopefully you remember this. I've shown you this before. And where are we? There we go. So we've done the hello world. So this will be our Python keywords. We'll go from there into variables and data types. In fact, we'll talk about that tomorrow, the different data types that exist in Python. All right. After that, we'll go into some of the basic operators, arithmetic operators, comparison and logical, control flow, where we'll talk about structured programming. In other words, where we'll talk about if-else, loops. There's also a match case along with the if-else. Finally, we'll get into functions. And we'll be doing some of this will be kind of, I was going to say interchanging, but that's not the right word. They'll be kind of interspersed with one another. All right, and that's where I'm hoping to get to by the end of the week, so that next week I can get into core concepts. That's all I've got for right now. I'll be back a little bit later, hopefully today, and talk to you a little bit more about these keywords. See you then.